Fez, you got your start in country, right?
Yeah. I was an overnight board op, midnight to 6 a.m. running. It was a country station out in a double-wide trailer. And
is that where you were living or where you were working?
That was where I was working at the time. I was still living at home, surprised enough.
Was the family just so excited that you had double wide? Look at it. It's the same as a trailer, but twice as wide.
So, and they got satellite programming in, so it was some sort of country network that they just rebroadcast there. There was no live programming, and I just had to make sure it stayed on the air.
Was your family real excited for you?
Oh, they were very excited.
Now, I love Fez's family, but they're the type of people, very Southern, that they will take their hats off while they're talking to you and just hold them in front of their chest, and they call me Mr. Ron. And the last time they're like this, Mr. Ron, well, thank you so much for taking care of our boy while he had that heart ticker problem. I really appreciate it, Mr. Ron.
They were very grateful.
Well, it's either Ron or Mr. Bennington. The Mr. Ron... and the whole family doesn't need to take off their hats and hold them over their chest.
Well, they have to wear those hats. It's so hot in Florida. It keeps the sun off of them.
Mr. Ron, we heard you on the Victrola box, and we really appreciate you taking care of our toddy boy.
Fez! FZ, Fez!
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot the name they call you. Toddy boy.
The worst family nickname ever.
Or sometimes, T-Bird! T-Bird, would you get in here? Damn it, boy!
To think, it's like, all right, he's too old to be called Toddy Boy?
Yeah.
So, we'll shorten it to T-Bird.
The other things they say, and again, the hats are right over their chest. I could never live here in this city. But Fez took us out to get some of those shrimp bugs. They were real good shrimp bugs. They call shrimp bugs.
To them, that's fancy food. If you have a meal with shrimp in it, that is automatically considered fancy.
It's not shrimp cocktail, which they order all the time, like it's 1958.
Then it's all fancy smancy to them.
Mr. Ron, remember when you get the shrimp bugs, you gotta peel them. Toddy boy, would you get in here? Standing out front throwing rocks at trucks. Stupid!
That's how I grew up.
It's amazing that you lived.
Yeah.
When you finally left on your own when you were 30, it must have been the most frightening thing. It must have been like leaving an Amish camp.
I think I moved maybe 10, 15 miles away and was still like, wow, I am really far from the homestead.
And the family. He moves out at 30, sobbing like he was sent away to boarding school at age 8.
Do you remember the birthday card my parents gave me on my 30th birthday?
Go ahead.
Because I was already planning on moving out at that point.
To a bachelor pad with Flipper. He has this beautiful penthouse apartment overlooking the Gulf on Clearwater Beach. It's just gorgeous. First time he's actually had a bathroom inside. You'd think everybody would be happy for him.
But no, in my birthday card, along with my $10 bill, I got the words, please don't leave us. Please don't leave us at age 30. Yeah, they were really upset that I was moving out.
Well, they didn't want you going there to that big city of Clearwater. They call it Clearwater, Mr. Ron, because the water is just clear. Not like the water that comes out of our spigot in the backyard. We got to boil that first.
That was how meals were cooked. We go over to my grandparents' house. The man would not use the electric stove or oven.
Why?
He wouldn't pay for electricity.
Oh, I thought maybe he thought it would all catch fire, and it was like the devil's magic. There ain't no fire, and everything's getting cooked. That's devil's work.
He had a wood-burning stove that everything was cooked on out in the backyard.
How old are you? Wood-burning stove? That's Daniel Boone talk.
They did not want to move into the 20th century at all.
Are you 100?
No, I'm not 100.
More or less?
Less, much less. Far down less.
All right. I heard wood-burning stove. Most people would call that a grill. You called it a wood-burning stove.
It was one of those old cast-iron stoves. You open up the bottom part of it, shove the wood in, get the fire going. Then it's got like the cast-iron burners on top where everything was cooking.
Mr. Ron, you want a birch tea? I'll put a branch in some hot water, making you birch tea. Sitting there eating roadkill. I go over to Fez's house. He's still living with his folks because they had the wrestling on TV. It's in Florida. It's August. It's a concrete house that looks like a bunker, and there's no air. There's no windows, and there's no air conditioning.
No, my dad would never turn on the air conditioner, refused to. And you said, the house was like a bunker.
Mm-hmm.
They had put an addition on the house where they sealed in the carport
right.
to make it into a family room. Not a window in the new section of the house, so there's no way to get a breeze. What they basically built was a cast iron stove for all of us to live in.
Odd. What a weird way to grow up, though.
It was very odd, and it was so hot in that house. Just insane hot.
What's your folks doing with you when the Depression hit?
Long before I was born, thank you.
Really?
Yes.
All right, then I'm shocked.
I would have had to been born in 29.
Have some of them shrimp bugs. Peel them, or else they hurt going down.
Eating the tails off of them.
They don't care.
It's all shrimp.
Shrimp bug.
Shrimp bug,
It's
yeah.
all shrimp bug.
Just awful people to have to grow up with. Awful people.
Well, no, they're wonderful people, Fez. But in that era, your era, post-Civil War.
Much at post-Civil War, post-Vietnam War, I'll even say.
Literally, if you really want to know Fez's life, listen to that song, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. The entire story of his life is in those lyrics.
Why shun technology, though? That's what I don't understand. Why not turn on the air conditioning?
Because they don't know what it is. They think it's devil's breath. They're petrified of any technology.
Why pay to have one put in if you're not going to use it? Why buy a house with air conditioning?
They didn't know what. Why did the Clampetts have a pool table? They moved in there and they thought it was a fancy eating table.
And they would talk about, it's so expensive for the electricity to run it. What about the 50 fucking fans that you had on? Portable fans that were everywhere. If you had turned off all the fans and turned on the air conditioning, it probably would have evened out.
That was to move the sweat stink aroma around the house a little bit.
I was constantly bringing my mother a fan as she moved from room to room.
I don't care what anyone says. I think you were the prettiest girl in Bug Tussle. I really do.
Thanks. It doesn't help much now. Where were you then to say I'm going to get you out of here?
Brian, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
I just want to check with Fezzy how he felt when they first invented the train.
He called that Iron Horse.
I did not fear the train.
The only train Fezzy saw when he was a kid was 5 older boys who told him he was going to be a Boy Scout now.
That was out in the orange groves.
Dave, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, Fizz, I got a question for
Fez.
you. You brought something up about the carport. How come in the South no one has garages? I mean, up north everyone has 2- and 3-car garages, and there's no basements down there.
Well,
I'm trying to figure this out.
He grew up in Florida. There's no basements because, and this is a true story, if you put a shovel spade into the ground, you will come up with ocean. Literally, salt water will just come bubbling up like crude.
Yeah, you can't dig. I mean, my house, anytime we had heavy rains, our house constantly flooded.
This is a true story about Fez, too. I'm not making this up. Total shoot. I go into the house. The furniture is sitting up high. Oddly high, like you almost have to jump up to get on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
I look down at the bottom of the couch. All the furniture, dining room tables, everything is on top of paint cans. So everything is a good 12 inches higher than it should be. But instead of the furniture being large, paint cans line the entire floor.
We had a problem with flooding, and even though the house would get flooded and the carpet would get ruined time after time, we wanted to save the furniture. So high C cans, paint cans, whatever we could find.
Were you just walking around in like 6-7 inches of water all the time when you were a kid in your own home?
Yeah, constantly. Yeah. You could see it would make it up to the front door, and then there would be some sort of tipping point where it would come in the backyard, from the backyard and the front yard all at the same time.
Maybe some shrimp bugs will come through here. Insane.
Yeah, it was a brutal...
But you had to know that when you bought the home, right?
I would...
Or did you think it was just a real deal to get a house for $60?
They probably thought, get the deal.
His dad saved up 100, ended up getting 40's change on a house.
Yeah, I mean, because they had moved into this house from down the block.
I'm going to use this 40 to invest in some paint cans. But you didn't know any different back then.
No, because everybody's house was getting flooded.
Sure, it was the 20s. Wasn't that? It was the Dust Bowl. Think about the rabbits, Fizzy. Think about the rabbits. We're going to get a rabbit farm, buddy. Look the other way. Why I shoot you. Here's Chris. Chris, you're on Run and Fez.
Hey, what's up, RB? What's up, FC? How are you? I wanted to know what you thought of the first time you heard of Alexander Graham Bell.
Well, Fez, you had to come in from the other room. He needed you.
I'm not Watson. We had phones, although when the phone would ring once and there would be nobody on the other end, we knew that was my grandfather calling because he would get charged per call. And so what he would do is he would hang up the phone as soon as it rang once, and we would have to call him back because he didn't want to get charged for that call and didn't have a phone in his house.
Sure, it was a nickel in those days. Of course, that was a lot of money.
And we had to call the business that he was running out behind his house.
The business that he was running was moonshine. That was his business, looking out for revenuers.
We could have had air conditioning if we had moonshine money.
Dave, you're on Run and Fez.
Hey, Fez, I was wondering what it was like the first time you saw one of them crazy flying machines go over your house.
The Iron Bird.
Yes.
The Iron...
You know what? I was born well after Wilbur and Orville Wright. We had planes. I saw planes. I didn't get on one until I was into my mid-20s.
Sure.
So that was frightening.
You hear it? Toddy Boy's going up in a flying machine. Toddy Boy's in a flying machine. What were you, a wing walker for a couple years back then?
No, nor a barnstormer.
A barnstormer. Toddy Boy start barnstorming.
Would you quit calling me Toddy Boy?
I thought that was your nickname.
It was, but see, that's something that'll catch on with these message boards and these listening threads.
Tappy never caught on.
I think it did.
Jay, you're on Run and Fez. Toddy Boy.
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Yeah.
I was calling to say, hey, that really wasn't AC, man. That was, he had a swamp cooler.
Just a nice swamp cooler.
I would have taken a swamp cooler at that point. Oh, man, it was hot in that house. Just waking up with, the sheets sticking to you.
I can't imagine.
And then everything would be open. They'd have the windows would be open to try to catch a breeze, like in the bedrooms. The screen door with the holes in it would be open, so the house would be full of flies too. Besides being stank hot
and skaters. Toddy Boy, start swatting some of these skaters. Let them pull just a little sister away.
If you could fall asleep in the heat, you would still have a fly buzzing in your ear.
You saw the mosquitoes lifting Fez's sister up in the air like the flying monkeys in Oz. Bull, you're on Run and Fez.
Hey, T-Bird.
My name is Fez, and I'm only answering to Fez. F-E-Z.
Oh, my bad. Fizz, look, if you had a phone, did you have more than one digit for a phone number?
His number was 7. His grandfather's was 5. This was all the people that were living in Florida at that time. It was very few. It was you. Your neighbor was Silas Marner, I believe his name was.
No. And
Is that the correct name? Remember that the old legends of Tampa Bay?
Oh,
was
yeah.
Was it Silas Marner? Silas Dent?
Silas Dent, yeah.
That he was like the first person to live down there?
Right, yeah.
And then Fez's family moved in. The worst fucking plot of ground you could find. Under sea level.
It was a swamp.
Fez could look out his window and it looked like an aquarium. You could just see all kinds of sea animals going by.
I think we always had those gigantic floods, which was ready to wash away the house. And every neighborhood kid would just be out playing in that.
Sure.
In that dirty, filthy ringworm water.
They love that dirty water. Pinellas Park, you're my home.
I was never allowed to go out in the flood water. I was going to get sick.
Fez's family used to do so poorly that Earl's family would send care packages down. They're black people going like this, driving past the house going, that's a damn shame seeing people live like that.
I would have to write thank you notes to Mr. and Mrs. Douglas.
Luckily, with all the heat and poverty, your parents kept pumping out kids. That was the smart move.
Kids and pets. Why did we have to have so many pets? We never had any less than 3 dogs at one time. Always 3 dogs and a slew of cats.
Well, that's because somebody might come by at night and try to steal that car that your dad has jacked up on blocks out front.
The Falcon.
That hasn't run in 15 years, and he's always tinkering with it.
And my dad would also raise rabbits. The backyard was nothing but rabbit pens.
Toddy boy, I ever get this fixed, and we're just going to ride away. We're going to drive away, boy.
Let's just go with Fezzy Boy.
Route 66 all the way. You had rabbits?
Yeah, my dad raised rabbits.
Friars?
You know what? We never ate them. I don't know. You know,
he just fed them what little vegetables your family had.
On Easter Sundays, we would have to build a pen out back, a traveling pen, and take the baby rabbits to the church so that the kids could, if they had their parents' permission, get an Easter bunny.
What was it like for you? You're living in Florida, and all of a sudden you look up and you see these boats and the conquistadors are coming. Was that frightening?
I wasn't there in the Ponce de Leon days. Wasn't Fountain of Youth time. It was much later. It was latter 20th century Florida.
Latter-day Saint. You were considered a Seminole at that time.
By the white man.
Fez's entire family made their money wrestling gators. Anyway, you know what? It's it's just a life, Fez. You should be proud of it.
Why?
Yeah.
There's not one thing to point at.
I can't answer. I wish I had an answer for you.
You give me one thing on that resume to toot my horn about, and I'll do it.
All right, this is the end of our session. I'm going to meet you a week from Monday because I'll be at Martha's Vineyard for the next week.
All you've done is wind me up and then set me out in the street.
Why should I? Hector, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
How we doing?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just sitting around. I'm waiting if we're going to get one of those T-Bird tourists today. I love it when he does those.
Hey, T-Bird! Phone rang once. Better call Grandpa.
We didn't even have a Thunderbird. We didn't own a T-Bird. We didn't have that Ford. There was no reason for them to call me T-Bird, other than they were tired of Toddy Boy.
Well, you had the T. Why not run with it?
Yeah. I could have been T-Bone, anything.
They could have called you Femboy, so just be happy with what you got. I'm worried about T-Bird. He's always in there darning dresses.
I was an inside boy.
Were you?
Yeah.
Well, inside there is like outside anywhere else. You still had the fucking water rats and bugs to play with.
Yeah, I didn't notice any difference. It was just as wet inside as it was outside.
Fez's first pet was hepatitis C. Here's Turtle, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, Fartley, you missed the sweet tea and all those pecan pies you and Fast Eddie used to have?
Oh, yeah, you guys used to eat them up, huh?
Yeah, Eddie had a real pecan pie problem, and I would bring in some from the 7-Eleven every single day to the show, trying to get him even more hooked on them.
By the way, Fez used to call the 7-Eleven the supermarket when I met him. And then everything they sold there, Coke.
It was the nearest store.
What's that like, Red State? What's it like being down there? Was it nice?
It wasn't, and as I think back, it was worse than I even remember.
At least you could go see a moving picture for a nickel, and you got 2 cartoons and a newsreel with it.
I just thank God my life didn't work backwards, where I was born and raised in New York City, stayed there till I was 30, and then ended up in a sweatbox.
New York is where I'd rather stay. You have no idea where you're going to end up, brother.
That's
so never
true.
look down.
Right.
They may have been the good years. I don't like to be superstitious about things, but if you end up in a sweatbox again, you'll be a lucky guy.
Well, it's got to have air conditioning.
Andy, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, Fizz. How scary was it when Florida broke away from Africa?
Jesus, you're older than I thought. If you were there when the landmass broke off and then finally attached on to North America?
Yeah, against popular belief, I was not born in Pangea.
Here's Matt. Matt, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, Fez, didn't you say you used to play in floodwaters?
Yes.
Didn't that remind you of like when you on the Titanic when it was sinking and all that water around you?
The unsinkable Toddy Boy Whatley. I remember that story.
I was not on the Titanic. Born much later than 1912.
Mike, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, instead of T-Bird, his parents should have called him T-Bag. See ya.
Did they ever?
They've never.
Not even one uncle?
Well,
hey, what did you call your grandfather, by the way? Was it Grandpa? Was it
Papa? Papa.
Eat Papa. Was it Hemingway down there in Key West?
I wish.
When he had his swimming pool filled with salt water. What a fucking lazy asshole. You go down to Hemingway's house. He lives right next to the ocean. But another 15 feet in, he has a swimming pool that he just had his idiots go fill up with salt water from the ocean. Fucking walk another 15 feet and save yourself the cost.
That's a guy who wants the ocean to himself. And he can't have that, so he fills his pool.
What kind of typhoid fucking pool was that anyway? Just ocean water sitting in cement outside. That had to be the ugliest shit ever.
Pickle brine is what he's swimming in.
Starving. We gonna eat pickle brine?
Fresh out, unfortunately.
I'd love to have a big barrel of pickles that we could just sit here and eat as the show goes on. I'm sure the listeners would love to hear the crunching.
That takes me back to Drucker's store.
No, you were fucker's whore. It's a whole different deal.
That's just mean.
You know what? That doesn't even make sense. It doesn't. There's some rhyme there, but it doesn't make sense.
Totally unnecessary shot at me.
Oh, I know that the older men called you names. Will, you're on Run Fez.
Ronnie, I don't know how you do it from day to day with these fucking dummies.
I'll see.
You're sitting there, you make at least 2 or 3 references to the Grapes of Wrath and nothing. Oh.
I know. I do all kinds of stuff like that. And by the way, not too long ago, we met with some radio people, executives, and they go, "We were listening to your show. It's really funny, but no one gets it." And I go, "Yeah, I know. Well, we get it.
Yes.
Sometimes.
We enjoy.
Yes. Our references are our references. That's it." Here's Don. Don, you're on Run of Fez.
Hey, Fizz, when you were helping Noah round up all them animals for the Ark, how'd you guys manage to get them baby dinosaurs on?
I didn't have anything to do with the Ark, my friend. I wasn't there in biblical times. The catastrophic flood that allegedly wiped out every living thing on the planet.
Hey, Keith, you're on Run of Fez.
Yeah, I was going to ask Fez what it was like to have Jesus sign his yearbook.
Good one.
Jesus actually wrote in there, "You will betray me. Love Jesus."
3 times before the cock crows. That's in the Bible.
I know. Always made me laugh, too. If I heard cock in fucking school, I'd crack up. Also, one of the things I did, like in elementary school, is I would go through the dictionary, the one that we'd all use together at the library, and anything like cock or ass that was in the dictionary, I'd always circle. Make sure somebody else gets to see this funny word.
There would also be someone that, like at the beginning of the dictionary, would do that and write down the page number.
I would do that. I would write on there, see page 854, and then you'd go there, cock.
Male rooster. Yeah, right.
Right.
Made you wonder how people at Webster's would be even be able to type that in, to put it in there, knowing that it's a cuss word.
Do you ever do this? You ever try to hand your school books back in, and the teacher's like this? "You know what? I went over your school book, and I'm right here on this page. You've got a big dick spraying something all over George Washington." And I'm like, "What?" "Oh, no, I was like that when I got it. It definitely was like that when I got it. Why didn't you bring it to me? And why did you sign it?" Why does that shit crack you up when you're a kid?
It was so funny. In Spanish class, our Spanish teacher, Senora Zin, was...
Did she come over the conquistadors?
No. She was conjugating the verb venir, to come, for us.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, she's trying to get through it. She knows what she's saying. She's, vengo. I come. Vienes, you come. Viene, he, she comes. And she's going through it. Venemos, we come.
You're the only boy in Spanish class without a fucking rock hard on at the time. So you're the one going like this, "Shut up, we're trying to learn." By the way, you forgot to hand us our homework assignment.
So she's going through that. Everyone is cracking up. She couldn't take it anymore. Just slams the book down, screaming maturity at us.
Did you yell, didn't you come? I did.
Venemos, we come.
Yeah, any term with come in it would just, suddenly the class would wake up, crack up. You couldn't believe how excited you were. We would laugh if we heard the name Page 69. Everybody would be in fun, just fucking couldn't be any happier.
You're learning about any sort of math or metric system or something, and you hear the term unit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
How many units go into it?
But look, you're just fucking doing that over and over. No, there's no subtlety to the tags of the jokes you're doing.
No one heard 10.
Dan, you're on the fuzz.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
I was just remembering when we were kids, we'd go over to Toddy Boy's house and look at his cave paintings. They were very nice. Best in the neighborhood, really.
I don't want to brag about Fez when it comes to this, but he invented art. As he came back from a hunt and showed all the women exactly what happened.
Painted with blood. No, I did not. And we didn't really have much artwork in my house to begin with. We had a Last Supper paint by the numbers that my aunt did. And that we hang on the wall.
Yeah, nothing looks better than a paint by the numbers. Jesus' face looks like Rocky Dennis.
And my family is from Newfoundland, so they had this placemat of a Newfoundland retriever, Newfoundland dog, and they took this placemat and put it in a homemade frame that my grandfather made, and that was in our living room. A placemat was our art.
The beauty of this is, your family went from the worst place in Canada to a hard freezing rock, all the way down to a swamp, when there was still so much property in the United States that they could go highland, as your people used to call it.
They couldn't get, I guess they wanted it as hot as possible. They were tired of freezing.
Rick, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, I miss Save the Children Fez.
That one doesn't even make sense.
No.
You lost. Go back and sit in the loser's lounge.
T-Boy wins. T-Bird.
You don't even remember your own fucking nicknames. Did
Stupid.
they call you T-Boy too?
Yeah.
And then I remember one of your uncles used to call you Fluff Boy. Where did he get that from?
That was Uncle Blackjack.
Marty, you're on Run and Fez.
1446, buddies.
Hey, buddy boy.
Hoo-ah! Yeah, I was wondering, when Fezzi's pappy, he got paid in Confederate money, if the conversion rate was good to Union money or not.
I don't believe it was, but I wouldn't know. I'm not that old. And guess what? Neither's my grandfather.
You can't raise the cane back up once it's in the feed. Here's Scott. Scott, you're on Run and Fez.
Hey, what's up, Ronnie? Just wanted to give you, cracked me up. I'm a vet student up at Florida, and every time my genetics teacher talks about breeding, the black bitch to the white male, the few men in the class sit in the back and chuckle like schoolgirls as the girls look back at us.
I know.
What assholes we are.
That is true. Girls never laughed for the inappropriate laughs. Not only that, they acted like you were fucking up class for everybody else. Instead of, I'm trying to make this livable. I'm trying to find a few moments of humanity, of freedom, inside this fascist state known as elementary school. And now I need your fucking glares? Because you've signed on, you've signed your soul away, you've joined in, me and my buddies can't giggle along?
They would try to explain that hell is in the Bible.
Good, let's keep saying it. Let's say every word we can't. Over and over. Jim, you're on Run and Fez.
Nothing's funnier than when you're a kid and they call a hot dog a wiener.
Right. And then those would be in the stories, too. It would be like, Jane ate a wiener. I would fucking lay on the ground and act like I was swimming. I would be so fucking happy. Glenn, you're on Run and Fez.
Hey, buddy boys.
Yeah.
When I was in 5th grade, I got sent to the principal office with the kid sitting next to me because we couldn't stop giggling when we were learning about the rubber trees in Brazil.
Rubber tree is beautiful. Anything that ever had the word feel was just phenomenal to us. We loved all that shit.
Anytime galoshes were referred to as rubbers.
Oh.
Just a riot.
Bill put his rubbers on. 2 of them. You're so happy you're laying on the ground running the wheel. You ever do that where you just act like you're running around like a hamster wheel? You're just laying there?
And all it takes is that one snicker from anybody in the room and you just lose it.
Yeah. Oh. That or any kid that freaks out A kid that freaks out is the best. When they'll just start freaking out on a teacher and cussing and kicking, that would be the all-time best for me. Because I'd be like, yeah, it's gotta be, finally, the truth is coming out. Hoping that maybe this was the day of the revolution, the kids' revolution.
It would seem so weird and just surreal to see a kid screaming at a teacher.
Well, every once in a while, a kid will snap.
Yeah.
Like anywhere in life, a person just can't take it anymore. They're attempting with their little 32-pound body to punch and kick and scratch their way out of there. They don't stand a chance. The most I think we could do, the least we could do, is root them on. Go for it, brother.
And then to see him back in the classroom like a day or two later, which is bizarre. It's like, how in the world do you have the nerve to come back in here?
Because they took him in the other room. They put a rat on his face inside of a cage and made him give up his girlfriend. They break you as a child. That's the whole thing about school. How do we break these kids of thinking on their own? Pig Floyd was right. We don't need no education. We should be fucking animals running around like Toddy Boy and his family, scratching out our deeds on cave walls.
We weren't animals. We weren't primitive.
Wearing pelts as clothing. Fez's dad just had a big wolf head on. That meant that he was in charge.
Mom wore that.
Oh, sorry. Maybe that answers a lot of your questions. Maybe if he would have stood up to her, you wouldn't be you. You would be somebody you could admire.
I swear he worked 3 jobs, not because we needed the money, but because he wanted out of the house.
One of the jobs he was working was the job known as blow.
He was not. What a thing to say.
He's going like this. He comes home like this at night. I got a raise. Father? Good boy, I got a raise. Swallow that before you come home.
That was not my father's job.
Bartel. Let me go over here to Terry. Terry, you're on the Ron Fez show.
Hey, well, when I grew up down in Ocala, we had an old English teacher in the 10th grade, and we were reading a book called The Tale of Two Cities, and she called it The Tale of Two Titties one time. I thought the class was going to die.
I would love whenever they made any kind of faux pas.
Oh, that's a golden moment that you just live for.
Or they show any part of their private life. You know what I mean? Where, like, some guy shows up to pick up your teacher. It's so exciting. You and your buddies just talk. I bet she's a slut when she gets out of here. I know she is. I know she smokes. I mean, we literally used to say that we saw people boning in the teacher's lounge, even though it wasn't true. Like an East Side story, you just wanted to believe it, so you went with it.
I saw my first grade teacher smoking one time. Just amazed by it. Shocked. Because I thought she lived in that classroom. I thought when everyone went home, she slept at the desk.
Well, like she was some kind of good citizen. Like she was above everyone else. She didn't go out and have an adult life. They should have smoked in front of you. So look, this is the way it is, kids. You're going to end up like me. With nothing but one bad relationship to the next.
Then you know that's just busy work they're giving you. So she can go have a cigarette. Not learning anything. They're not teaching anything. She couldn't make it through a class.
So she would actually go outside and smoke during school?
That classroom was right off of the school kitchen. So she would go into the kitchen and smoke.
During class?
Yeah. Yeah.
She had a problem.
Yeah. She couldn't make it through class. I mean, she couldn't make it till our lunchtime, our recess, without a smoke.
Well, you're sitting there with an all-gay class trying to get them to pay attention.
It wasn't all gay.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And, of course, she did have a Tallulah Bankhead voice as well.
Believe me, kids, I've seen some stuff.
Darling.
I hate you all. I'm doing this for the $220 a week.
I'll be in the kitchen.
I'm making $45 a day to listen to this garbage out of you. Let's face it, femboys.
T-boy, bring me the lighter out of my desk.
Were you T-boy or T-bird? I'm so confused.
I was both.
Oh. T-boned.
That one I wasn't.
D-boned.
That one I was able to stay away from, for the most part.
How many nicknames have you had in your life? And have any of them been cool?
Oh, not one of them. Yeah. Fartley, Fatty Pneumonia, T-boy, T-bird. Toddy boy.
Tappy.
Tappy's one of the more recent ones. And yeah, still not good.
Tappy the Foot. That's your whole fucking name. Look at Dave. He's dying to get back in here. It ain't gonna happen, Dave. You're on my last nerve today. Yeah. You're a redheaded outcast. That's how you're gonna spend the rest of the day, like a redheaded outcast.
That's redundant.
You keep your nose against the bakery store window, and T-Boy's gonna be in here eating eclair after eclair, enjoying himself.
Oh, nice. I will, too.
Today's your day, T-Boy. Live it up.
Thank you.